There were 2 women and 5 men on board Columbia. 4 of the 7 astronauts were on their first shuttle flight. All but 1 were married. All but 1 was American. They leave between them a dozen children. Here's ABC's Derek McGinty.
The 7 astronauts who died this morning represent the NASA of recent years. They were older and more diverse.
We're incredibly lucky to be able to be working where we are, up above the Earth.
Laurel Clark, 41 years old, was a former Navy flight surgeon, and this was her first mission in space. This was also Dave Brown's first space flight. He never imagined he would be an astronaut.
I remember growing up thinking that astronauts and their job was the coolest thing you could possibly do.
Ilan Ramon, 48 years old and a veteran fighter pilot, was the first Israeli in space. His mother survived the Holocaust. He was carrying with him a drawing by a young boy who did not, Peter Gins, who died in the gas chambers.
It's very exciting for me to be able to fulfill their dream.
Kalpana Chawla emigrated to the United States from India, where she remembered envying pilots.
Once in a while, we'd ask my dad if we could get a ride in one of these planes.
They all loved space, but pilot William McCool also loved the Earth.
My most enjoyable experiences are going out with my wife and my boys, backcountry backpacking in the Olympic Mountains, or the Canyonlands in Utah.
Mission Commander Rick Husband was in charge of the landing. He had tried 4 times to become an astronaut before being accepted in 1994.
The nature of what we do has a certain level of risk associated with it. Certainly, whenever we launch, the amount of energy that's being expended during launch and ascent is mind-boggling.
Lieutenant Colonel Michael Anderson was in charge of the mission's science experiments, and he admitted he was nervous about re-entry.
On this flight entry, I'm just going to sit down in my seat and hopefully reflect on the 16 days on orbit that we've had, and just anxious to get back, to be happy to have the flight behind us.
Derek McGinty, ABC News, New York.
If you do not belong to the space community, it's hard to imagine just how deep the shock is in all the people related to the space industry. But as the president said today, on a day like today, we are all, no matter where we live, family, though it is deeply more personal for some. Here's ABC's Dean Reynolds.
Outside the high school Laurel Clark once attended, the flag was lowered to half-staff, and someone played taps.
Just to play and for the memory of these people that have died.
Yeah.
No one in Racine, Wisconsin had ever been to outer space before, so they were particularly proud of Laurel.
Yeah, I'm just totally in a state of shock and dismay. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words.
In Amarillo, Texas, friends of Commander Rick Husband recall how he'd wanted to be an astronaut since the age of 5, despite the inherent danger.
Rick and all of the other astronauts always downplayed that. They were always very positive. That was not something to consider.
In Oklahoma City, payload commander Mike Anderson's sister Joanne said today marked the end of a remarkable journey.
Only in America could he have achieved what he did achieve.
6,800 miles away in Israel, Colonel Ilan Roman's father was live on local television as his son disappeared into a blue sky. We never expected this, he said. Ramon, whose mother survived the Holocaust, was the first Israeli in space, and his mission was cause for celebration until today. Emotions were similar among villagers from mission specialist Kalpana Chawla's hometown in India, where there was still hope.
Miracles do happen.
At their home in Arlington, Virginia, the parents of Navy Captain David Brown treasured a message from him on their answering machine received just 16 days ago.
Mom and Dad, it's Dave. It's launch morning. I'm on the launch pad right outside the shuttle. It's just beautiful here. And I hope you have a safe trip back. We're going to have a great trip to space. I love you guys.
His brother, Doug, asked David, what if you should die? And Dave said, well, this program has to go on.
For all of those who were preparing to welcome their loved ones back to Earth,
may God bless the grieving families.
The day has come to bid them goodbye. Dean Reynolds, ABC News.